Welcome to another episode of Would I Repurchase These Palettes? I believe this is episode 4 now that I've done in this series on my channel. And basically, I am imagining a hypothetical situation where some crazy makeup maniac breaks into my house and steals these 8 palettes out of my collection. Would I go out and repurchase them again? Now, the way that I take a spin on it and make it my own is I imagine that I have already had these palettes, that they have already launched, and I want to make my decision based on my experience with the palette already. I'm not imagining that it's coming out for the first time and I've never tried the palette. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Rachel, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I'm really excited to do this video. I love doing these types of videos. This original video idea was created by Dolly Mama Beauty. I will link her channel down below. I'm gonna link all of these palettes. The ones that I can link down below, I will link down below, as well as everything that is on my face. And if you enjoy makeup content, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. And if you enjoy this video while you're watching it, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. All right, these are in no particular order. They're just in a pile in front of me. I have 8 palettes to talk about. The way that I did this is I asked my fiance, can you think of a number between 5 and 15? And he chose 12. And so I went through my collection and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Took the palette out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, did the same thing. So I'm pretty sure there's no repeated palettes here. Hold on, let me check. There's one that is questionable.
346 minutes later.
Okay, no, none of them are repeats, so let's just get to it. The first palette I want to talk about is the Essence Bronzed This Way. So, almost dropped it. So this is just a tiny little 6-pan palette from the brand Essence, which is a drugstore palette. I'm sure you guys have seen these palettes. They've been around for a while. I do own 2. I actually used to own 3. I did declutter one of them. This is probably my favorite one of the 3 that I've tried. It's just like a really basic 6-pan neutral palette, which, not that you can tell from today's look, but I am much more of a neutral girl than I am a colorful makeup girl. So I like having small neutral palettes. Now, with that being said, I don't love this palette. It's fine for the $4 price point. It's pretty good. The mattes, I think, are better than the shimmers. Like, the shimmers are very soft, not very impactful, which is not like my most favorite thing. They're more like satin shades. Yeah, they're pretty dry. You could probably hardly even see the swatch on my hand. That's kind of how not impactful they are. So no, I would not repurchase this palette. Again, not because it's bad, but I have so many more neutral palettes in my collection that I prefer over this. Even like my Natasha Denona 5-pan minis are much more appealing to me for a small neutral palette than this is. So no, I would not repurchase this. Speaking of Natasha Denona, the next palette is the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette, and this is the light version. So I did buy this when it launched. When did this launch? I think like the very end of last year, which is crazy. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago. And I was so excited when this was being sneak peeked. I immediately knew that I wanted it. Usually with Natasha Denona, anytime she releases something, I'm very interested. And when I see the color story, if it's a color story I like, I buy it. So I love these 5 new, again, more condensed neutral shades down here. These shimmers are so beautiful, like so sparkly, so pretty, almost wet feeling, really, really gorgeous shimmer shades. So beautiful. The matte shades are also very nice. I like that you can create a complete look with these 5 shades. It goes from light to deep in the mattes. The cheek products also are nice. I will say I really, really like the highlighter a lot. It's a beautiful powder highlighter. This cream blush, now I have to really like dig to take off the top layer because it is quite dried out. But I'll be honest with you, I don't mind it. I think it's a really nice cream blush. I do have very oily skin, so I prefer a cream blush that's a little bit on the drier side, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't love super dewy, super emollient cream cheek products because my skin is just greasy. Everything will slip and slide if there's not some sort of mattifying property to it, if you will. Yeah, I really like this palette. Would I repurchase it? 100%. 100%. I would repurchase this palette. I absolutely love it. It's a need for me. The next palette that I want to talk about is the Profusion Nude palette. You probably have not heard of this palette because it was a limited edition holiday palette, I believe in the year 2018 or 2019. Not 100% sure, but I found it in my Walgreens and I picked it up. And it's a fine palette. It's nice for the price point. I think it's really good. I think I paid $10 for this, maybe, if that. Really nice, actually. The mattes are nice. The shimmers are more, again, on the more soft side, but nothing that's really that big a deal. I think it's a pretty palette, but I will say this is a palette that I literally forget that I own. I just don't think of it. So, you know, would I repurchase this? No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would even really notice if it went missing from my collection because I have not used this probably since I bought it. So it's been a few years. This is probably not going to make it through the next declutter, I'll be honest with you. So no, I would not repurchase it. Okay, the next palette is the Plush Like Me palette from ColourPop. This is a fairly new palette to my collection. I did get it in a mystery box. I've done 3 ColourPop mystery unboxing in the past few months, and I will link those down below if you're interested. And I actually got this palette twice in 2 different mystery boxes. So I actually love this palette. It's probably one of my favorite ColourPop palettes that I have. The color story is nothing earth-shattering, okay? We've seen these tones before, but the quality of these shadows is very nice. The mattes are pigmented yet blendable. The shimmers are really pretty, really shiny. ColourPop has certain palettes that are in this style of packaging where they have like a textured outside, they're weighted, the actual mirror has like details on it. And I feel like the quality of those ones, like the Limoncello palette, is the same packaging as this. I feel like the quality of those palettes, they're just like a touch stepped up. And so I really like this. I love like the velvety details on it, the packaging, the quality, the color story. So yes, I would repurchase this. I would repurchase the palette itself. Even though I didn't buy the palette myself, I would repurchase it just on its own because I really enjoy this palette a lot. Okay, the next palette I want to talk about is the Juvia's Place, the Bronzed Rustic palette. I love Juvia's Place. They're one of the first brands really that I discovered when I was really first getting into makeup many years ago. I couldn't believe the price point these shadows were at and how good they are. And this is, again, a 6-pan condensed, I would say more neutral leaning palette. There are a couple of pops of brighter colors, but I think it still leans neutral. I actually love this palette. I love the looks I've gotten out of it. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. And I just love a neutral 6-pan palette. I just do. I have nothing else to say about it besides, yes, I would repurchase it. I think absolutely at that price point, it is worth it. So yes, I would be repurchasing this one. All right, I have another ColourPop palette, and this is a tough one for me. So this is the Hello Kitty and Friends palette. This came out, I believe, 2019, 2018. First of all, I love Hello Kitty. Actually, I used to love Hello Kitty like a ton. When I was in high school and college, I was obsessed with Hello Kitty. When I was going to college, when I was shopping for my bed linens and like my curtains for my freshman dorm, I really badly wanted to do it all Hello Kitty, but my mom, she stopped me. I think she was thinking of my best interests going into freshman year at college, if you know what I mean. I actually didn't end up doing that, but I absolutely love Hello Kitty. I think she's like, look at the packaging. Look how cute she is. Is she not the cutest little thing like ice skating? I can't. Okay, but now let's talk about the eyeshadows. I don't love this palette like for the actual eyeshadows. It's a bit light for me. I prefer something that goes from light to deep, that has some depth. I mean, there is one deep shade in here, but I feel like these shadows are pretty powdery. The metallics are kind of dry. It's not the best palette that ColourPop has ever done, in my opinion, but I keep it honestly just for the packaging's sake because I think it's so cute. Would I repurchase it though? I don't think so. I mean, I would miss it because it is Hello Kitty, but I don't really use this palette at all, even though she is very cute. No, I wouldn't repurchase it. I wouldn't repurchase it. I'm going with my gut on this one. This is an easy one for me. I'm not gonna lie. This is an easy answer. So this is the Sol Mana 2 from Odin's Eye. This came out earlier this year. Odin's Eye is a Swedish indie brand. They make absolutely amazing eyeshadows. Amazing. The quality, top notch. Their color stories, beautiful. And this one is a really fun, colorful palette. And I kind of already said before, I'm not a huge colorful makeup person. I do like to dabble in it and have fun with it and not take it too seriously. But these colors are like not intimidating to me. I feel like every look I got out of this palette, I loved. The shimmers, gorgeous. The mattes, blendable. It's fun. You can also get a neutral look down here. Absolutely love this palette. 1000% I would be repurchasing this palette in a heartbeat. I'm also like an avid Odin's Eye collector. Like everything they come out with, I want. I have quite a few of their palettes, so I probably would buy a palette that's all black shades and one matte white. I'd be like, wow, that's revolutionary. I'm exaggerating, okay? I'm exaggerating. But I do love this palette and I would repurchase it 100%. And then last but not least, we have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics The Dollhouse palette. So Blend Bunny Cosmetics is another indie brand. Their palettes are absolutely gorgeous. She did recently come out with a smaller palette, 20 pan palette, which is still pretty big, but all the rest of her palettes have been these larger 30 pans. This palette, when she released it, she said was the neutral palette for the color lover and the colorful palette for the neutral lover, which I totally get. Like me as a neutral person, I feel like this is kind of colorful, but more muted colors. She lays her palettes out in columns that you can stick to the columns to get more monochromatic looks, or you can mix and match. Absolutely love this palette. I love all her palettes. I have all her palettes. So I would 1000% be repurchasing this. Also, kind of like I said about Odin's Eye, I am a collector of Blend Bunny. Like I want to collect all her palettes, but also I'm very drawn to this palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Her matte formula is one of the best matte formulas I've ever tried. So yes, I would be repurchasing this. All right, so that was it for our 8 palettes. Let's do a quick recap. I had 3 that I would not be repurchasing: the Bronze This Way from Essence, the Hello Kitty and Friends palette from ColourPop, and the Nude palette from Profusion. And then I would repurchase the Juvia's Place, the Bronze Rustic, ColourPop Plush Like Me, Natasha Denona Glam Face palette in Light, Solmane 2 from Odin's Eye, and the Dollhouse palette from Blend Bunny. Whew. This one wasn't a hard one, actually. Definitely feel like there is a palette declutter coming soon to my channel because there are quite a few. Like I have a ton of palettes to the point where it's getting hard to store them. So that's the first sign. It's time to declutter. And then there's also a lot of palettes that I can truly just look at very quickly and go, I'm not going to use this again. I don't need it in my collection, or that I have in a different formula that I prefer. So probably coming soon. I know I've been talking about it for a long time, but hopefully in the month of December, that will be coming up. Let me know your thoughts on any of the palettes that I talked about in today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe before you leave. I do upload videos weekly, both beauty and fashion videos, and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.